in child protective services, and they won't give them back to their loving families because they're making money.
This is a legal system that you're going into. And if you don't know the rules, you will be chewed up and spit out.
If I could say anything to a mother who just got their children detained, you're in a crisis. Yeah. Life feels like it's over. The most important thing is regaining custody of your children.
The child welfare system at its core is designed to protect children who need protection. Okay, and that's key, is who need protection.
So social workers, out of fear, will remove more children rather than only remove those children that truly need to be removed.
It's okay. It's okay.
This isn't someone stole your car. Someone broke into your house. This someone took your child, your flesh and blood.
It doesn't say on this order that it was not proven. It says untrue. I immediately knew that, okay, well, this ain't over.
Were there signs there? Were there no signs? Did I miss them? Did I catch them? At this point, I honestly don't know.
Families only get a finite amount of time to reunify.
I came into this field to help families, not destroy them.
The difference between the criminal system and the child welfare system is substantial. You have more rights as a criminal than you do as a parent.
Do you want to go ahead, Mr. Davis?
You know, somebody was just complaining on YouTube that they can barely hear me. Do you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. So let's just start right into it. Good afternoon, everyone. This is actually Fight CPS with Miss G. So Miss G, why don't you take over?
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Georgette Truan. I am the host for Fight CPS Real Talk with Miss G, and I also work with attorney Vincent Davis, and he is with us today to answer you guys' questions as much as he can. And also our guest today is Amy. Hi, Amy.
Hello, guys. Thanks for having me.
Okay. So, Mr. Davis, I did give you some questions that some people send me to be able to ask you. If I may ask you number one question, please.
Go ahead.
Somebody asked me, what is kingship right?
Oh, that's usually a term used for kinship guardianship, at least in California. And it's where basically, you know, a relative is taking long-term placement of a child.
Okay.
Away from, not, you know, the kid is placed outside the parent's home. And if they can get a relative, there's a program, something called kinship legal guardianship.
Okay.
And it is what it just sounds like, kinship. You know, it's a relative who stepped up to take care of the child usually.
Okay. And then question number two, can a judge in a trial use Messenger to send private messages to the birth parent?
Private messages to the birth parent. You know, first of all, I don't know why a judge would do that, allegedly. So I'm not saying that it's true or not true. I don't see a judge doing that. However, it reminds me of the story that came out of a Southern California county years and years ago. And there was discipline, I think, against the judge and against the prosecuting attorney, the county council. It was alleged that they were having an affair, and that while they were having an affair, she prosecuted cases in front of this judge. the judge actually was taken off the bench. And then because of that, the state bar got involved and they actually disbarred the guy from being an attorney. It was a very, scandalous case years and years ago. And I always waited for, the kind of thing that happened over in those criminal cases where there were dirty cops and people would bring motions to overturn their convictions or, sue them,
Right.
But that never happened. And I was very surprised that never happened. Because obviously, if the judge was having relationships with the prosecutor and making decisions on cases, a lot of people probably were treated unfairly and should have had their cases reviewed, or overturned.
Right.
I was waiting for that to happen. I never heard that happen, and I never really, pursued it. Nobody really called me at that time. This may have been 20 years ago, 25 years ago that this happened.
Wow.
The attorney never did, I don't think was ever disciplined or maybe, slap on the hand. And she continued to represent the county for a few years after that. I don't know whatever happened to her. I don't know if she retired or went to work someplace else. But, relationships between judges and people on cases, I guess it can happen. People are people, whether they be judges, lawyers, mothers, fathers, the guy down the street. People are people. And, you hear about crazy things happening. I don't know why a judge would want to message the parent, unless the judge was on the parent's side or, something like that. Generally, we get calls where, the judge is unfair against the parent.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought you were going to ask me, can a judge, contact the prosecutor during the case? And I seem to vaguely recall in another state, allegedly some judge was text messaging the prosecutor during a case, telling the prosecutor what arguments to make. And of course, that didn't turn out well for the prosecutor or the judge.
Okay.
But I guess if you can imagine it, it can happen.
True. Okay, question number 3. When parents find errors in their paperwork and lies from the social worker and those issues are addressed, however, the worker refuses to correct them, what do parents need to do to bring it to the judge's attention if the court-appointed attorney refuses also to address the issue in court?
When you sent me that question, I kind of found that hard to believe, but I guess, nothing is too hard to believe. If there are errors and the attorney refuses to bring it up, the parent has the right to bring it up either in writing or orally. Now, what usually happens to people is they try to talk when they have an attorney, and some judges don't let the parent talk. So if I were the parent, I'd probably, consult another attorney in their jurisdiction. Maybe they can file some type of declaration, have it filed and served on all parties. So, if it's in the court file, presumably the judges may have to address it and deal with it. And presumably that court-appointed attorney may have to address it and deal with it. You just can't leave it hanging out there, because if something happens later on, like an appeal, the Court of Appeal may ask, what's going on with this document that was filed?
Okay. Can a parent sue CPS if CPS still has custody of their child?
Theoretically, yes. It's on a case-by-case basis. I generally don't recommend they do that for many, many reasons, litigation and civil rights reasons. But theoretically, just, if you ask me that question, the answer is yes. But like yesterday, people ask me, bizarre or straightforward questions all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But they're really asking me the wrong question. And they think that just this straightforward answer means that they can live and die with that situation in the courtroom. And it's not true.
Right. But okay, so what if the child was abused in foster care and the parents they know the child is being abused? Can they sue CPS?
The answer is yes.
Okay. Can a non-relative sue CPS if the child was with them since birth and CPS refused to leave the child with them even after they care? Okay, I need somebody's echoing here. Not sure who. Okay. Let me start over. Can a non-relative sue CPS if the child was with them since birth and CPS refused to leave the child with them, even after they were already certified to keep placement of the child?
And theories about this, and it depends it depends on a lot of separate facts. But generally, I would say yes. But if the relatives want the child back and they live in California, the
Right.
first thing that they should do, and if there are relatives in other states, they may have similar laws. But in California, a relative can make a motion for what's called de facto status, and better yet, something called presumed parent status. Because in California, a child can have more than two parents. So what happens is you get cases sometimes where there's, 3 or 4 parents on a case, and you say, well, how can a child have 3 or 4 parents? Well, in California, somebody could have been appointed a presumed parent, which gives them basically equal rights as a biological parent. In California, the issue of parentage is kind of a complicated thing. Just because you're the biological doesn't mean you're the presumed parent, and presumed parents have higher status than, in a lot of cases, than biological parents. California, fortunately or unfortunately, has made that whole topic very complicated. There are attorneys in California that specialize in nothing but parentage cases, because they know the 5 or 6 different types of parents, usually the father. In cases, they know what to argue, they know what to do in cases to try to get that person the most rights and protections inside the courtroom. So and those laws, by the way, apply to CPS cases, although you don't see it a lot. But every once in a while, there'll be an attorney who will know what's going on, or who can assert rights for a presumed parent. Generally, what a lot of people don't know is if you're a grandparent, you were my grandparents, and you were raising me, and they filed a CPS case against my father. Under the current law, my grandparents could have made a motion to be declared presumed parent, because they took care of me. I lived with them. They fed me, they clothed me, they provided me shelter, they provided me psychological support, emotional support. So, those relatives and those friends and family who had been taking care of the child, they need to talk to an attorney about that if they want rights in the CPS court. Because generally, CPS courts won't acknowledge people like that unless they make that motion. A lot of people say, well, the judge should know that and should give me that presumed parent status. No, the judge is not going to do that. You may think that that's fair and that should be the law, but that ain't the law.
Okay. Number 6 question. What can a parent do when CPS places a child in an abusive foster home, and worker tells parents if they make another report to them about the abuse, they will never see their children again?
Just on those basic facts, I would say they should report the matter immediately to their attorneys. They should make complaints formally through, CPS. They should make complaints at the state level. I tell a lot of people, if you have a case in LA County, you got a complaint against the social worker, reporting to CPS or DCFS in LA County, sometimes, not all the time, it's like asking the fox to guard the hen house.
Right.
What you need to do is you need to file a complaint in Sacramento with the Department of Social Services, who really regulate and supervise social workers at the county level. Also, you can file a complaint with the Department of Health and Human Services in Washington, D.C. They have complete oversight over all CPS cases and social workers. They control the money. The money for this entire system is given to us by the federal government. So they usually have the last word.
Right. That I understand. Now, question number 7. What can a parent do when the children have bruises and burns and cuts during a visit with the parents and the monitor tells them that kids cannot, when the child is trying to disclose the information, how they got the bruises, the monitor says they cannot discuss how the child got the bruises to begin with. Is that something that it, basically they're shutting up the kids from disclosing how they're getting beaten and abused and burned?
If I were the parent, I would talk immediately to my attorney about that, bring it to the court's attention, bring it to everyone's attention, CPS in that county, bring it to the attention of CPS in that state or DSS in that state, and bring it attention to the Department of Health and Human Services. Look, state supervision and federal supervision of social workers is real. A lot of people think that it's not. It is real. I personally know of a case where DHHS basically forced CPS to give a child back in a county where the kid had already been adopted by the foster parents, because they did an audit of the case and a review of the case, and DHS found so many wrongdoings, by the social workers, that they basically said, kid's been adopted, okay, but if the kid doesn't end up back with the parent or the mother and her mother, who's a grandmother, you ain't getting no more money from the federal government. These counties get hundreds of millions of dollars.
Wow.
Billions in some cases.
Wait, did you say million?
Billions with a B as in boy.
Billion?
Billions of federal dollars from the federal government to run CPS in LA County.
Oh, well, I understand that part. I do know that they make hundreds and thousands of dollars for adoptions as well.
Right. I tell people this all the time. I hate to say this, but it's America. Everything is about money.
Mm-hmm. What children are used as merchandise.
50 years from now, 100 years from now, we're going to look back. History will look back on this period of time and basically call this modern day slave trade.
Children trade, Mr. Davis. They're trading children. They're using children as merchandise. And I just want to read something. I usually do this for every show, Mr. Davis, but I would like to read it right now because somebody asked me to read it right now in the text message. Bill Clinton 1997 Act offered cash bonuses to the state for every child they adopt out in foster care. And in order to receive the adoption incentives bonuses, CPS treats kids like merchandise that sells, and they must bring plenty of innocent children so the buyers can choose. Workers work hard to keep the federal dollar flowing. Each bonus is multiplied by a percentage that the state has managed to exceed baseline adoption numbers. Therefore, state and local community, which are CPS, work hard to reach their goal to increase the numbers of adoption. This program is set by the very top and is ran by the Health and Human Resources. This is why victims of CPS don't get the help from their legislator. Basically, our tax dollars is what plays this gigantic system. Poor parents are targeted to lose children because they do not have the money to hire an attorney. CPS workers commit fraud and withhold evidence in court, and there is no checks and balances. The separation of family and the snatching of children is growing as the CPS business grows because the state and local government are accustomed to having these taxpayers' dollars to balance their overgrowing budget. So the ones that benefit from this are the state employees, social workers, children therapists, court-appointed attorneys, also known as court pretenders, guardian ad litem, CPS investigators, judges, foster parents, adoptive foster parents, and the children's psychiatrist. All of them are looking for children in the state custody to provide job security. So.
That I agree mostly with everything that you just read. I assume it was from one of the viewers of your shows. But here's the question. Let's assume all of that is true. What are you going to do about it? You're going to sit back and complain? Or are you actually going to get out there, carry a sign, go vote? Are you going to do that? Are you going to organize millions of people to vote to change the laws.
There's actually a lot of protesting right now in Monterey Park as we speak. That have been set up with people that follow my show, and everybody got together and worked to work together as a unit. And that's something I've been mentioning on my shows all the time is we need to be one hand. There is no Democrat and Republican Party. There is no moms and dads. There's union. There's a unity. Unity. You get together, whether you're a father, your grandmother, you're an aunt or an uncle, or even if you don't have a CPS case. Understanding the corruption of CPS and supporting other families is very important. And people are listening, and actually I've gotten a lot of feedback, good feedback about this.
What's your next question?
My next question is, oh, by the way, Mr. Davis, before I move on to my next question real quick, the information that I shared with the public actually came from Senator Nancy Schaefer. She was the senator for Georgia, and she's the one who exposed CPS, and every word for word is literally from her.
Do you know what happened to Nancy Schaefer?
Nancy Schaefer was murdered in 2014, and she lost her seat in the Senate because she exposed Bill Clinton and the CPS system. She lost her seat in the Senate.
And she's no longer with us on this earth.
Exactly. There you go. But that doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
Yeah. I don't know if she was murdered or if it was natural causes, whatever. I wasn't there, but she's not with us anymore.
Okay. Well, again, the information is still the same. It hasn't changed. My next question is, what can a parent do when a child or children have bruises and burns and cuts during the visit with the parent, with the monitor? And then I think I asked that one, right? Did I ask that one?
I think you did.
Okay, my apologies. Okay, question number 8. Let me move to question number 8. Can a parent refuse to sign a safety plan?
The technical answer is yes. But that's not an easy question to answer for me to give you advice unless I knew about the case and the details. Because not signing the safety plan, I think this was also in your question, can they remove the child? Yes.
Yeah. That other question. So you're telling me if they didn't sign the safety plan, they can remove the child because they refuse to sign the safety plan?
Yes.
What basis do they have that? I mean, what is... So basically, our children don't belong to us. Our children belong to the state.
Yes.
So
now that you know that, what are you going to do about it?
Vote.
Exactly.
You have to make change.
Vote.
You and about 1 million other people
Right.
have to get together and vote. Whether you're independent, whether you're Republican, whether you're a Democrat, a Trump supporter, a Biden supporter, an Obama supporter, you got to get together and vote. Because the fact that you guys are all different factions politically means nothing will ever change. And I don't think people realize that. But, the people have the ultimate power. They have the vote. Now, are they going to organize and vote? I don't know. They haven't so far. There's a big rally tomorrow up in Sacramento, the capital of California, against CPS. I mean, if you're watching this show and you have the ability to go on May 11th, I strongly suggest you go.
And also they have special people assigned to take you guys to the place, to drive you guys. There's like an Uber that actually a person who drives Uber, he actually volunteered to drive you guys there.
That's great. Somebody asked me if I was going, and I said, I have to tell you I am not going. I'm going to be in trial in a case, so I won't be able to go. But if I wasn't in trial, I would go.
Okay, so Mr. Davis, since we talked real quick about what Nancy Schaefer disclosed, to nationwide, so since you agree that the state has jurisdiction of our children, so basically we are just like incubators to the state, kind of like that?
I wouldn't say that.
I mean, that's what it seems like to me. I mean, that's kind of weird, right? Because this is the problem I'm having. A teenager doesn't want to be home because he doesn't want to follow the guidelines of the mom and the dad, right? And then they take the child, put the child in a foster, I mean, in an adoptive home, what do you call that? A group home, a group home. And then the group home, they allow the children to do drugs and introduce them to all kinds of weird things to do. But yet they will take children from parents if they suspect the parents are doing drugs, but yet take a child, a teenager, put the teenager in a group home and introduce them to drugs. That makes absolutely no sense. Do you
No.
agree with me, Mr. Davis?
Oh, I agree. One time I did a case in Southern California, and my client had been given back her son, but not her daughter. And, my argument was, well, she's taking care of the son, she can take care of the daughter. These kids were both kind of like teenagers, 13, 14, somewhere around in there. And we went to court, and on the day we got to court, there was a report from the social worker that said how this girl was getting the crap beat out of her in her group home, her foster home, and how her things, her belongings were being stolen. Now, here's a little twist.
Mm-hmm.
This girl was white, Caucasian.
Mm-hmm.
The group home she was in, predominantly African American, with a few Latinos. And she, was having a very difficult time. And we went in chambers with the judge to talk about the case. And the judge, who at that time was kind of a new judge to, she was kind of a new judge altogether, but new to CPS cases. And the first thing she said was, maybe I should be investigating the places where we're putting these kids, because when they take kids away from parents and place them in group homes or foster homes,
Mm-hmm.
everyone assumes that these places are safe for kids. And boy, that's a wrong assumption. Early in my career, I used to do licensing for foster parents.
Mm-hmm.
So if you were a foster parent and the state was trying to take your license away,
Mm-hmm.
I was one of the guys you would call to try to save your license. Now, here's the problem. These hearings are administrative hearings downtown. They're not in the CPS courtrooms. So CPS judges don't hear about foster parents and all the kind of crazy shit they do.
Mm-hmm.
I represented a woman who had been a foster parent for many years, and she was charged with causing the death of a foster child. Think about that for a second. Your kid gets taken away because you tested positive for cocaine,
Mm-hmm.
and you had domestic violence with your husband or your boyfriend. Kid never was hurt, but there was a risk that the kid gets hurt. Kids ends up in a foster home dead.
Unbelievable.
So, yeah, I mean, we should really be giving thought about where we, when we go to court and we argue foster placement versus relative placement or even parental placement, nobody ever gets to bring up what kind of placement the foster parent really is. And it would, to me, just common sense was, well, if you're going to weigh everything, weigh the foster home, right?
Mm-hmm.
We get calls, we get extreme calls, okay?
Right.
Imagine some of the stuff you've heard
Mm-hmm.
about what's happened to a kid in foster care. Imagine.
Right.
There are so many kids that ended up dead in foster homes in LA County that they made a special investigative unit to investigate why these deaths were occurring. And I don't remember if it was one a week, one a day, or one a week, or one a month, but one a year is too much. If you're a foster kid and a parent worrying about your kids. A lot of people worry about their kids going to foster care, not because they're going to be separated, because they don't know what's going to happen to them, to those kids in foster homes.
But that's a concerned parent, though. That's
Right.
any concerned parent.
Are there good foster parents? Yes. Are there bad foster parents? Yes. I can't tell you how many stories I've heard about kids going to a foster home and allegedly being sexually abused, allegedly being emotionally abused, allegedly being physically abused. I'm on a case right now. I won't tell you what county, but the mother got her kids back after maybe 18 months. And the kids are now they're 10 or 11. And they're telling the parent about all this stuff that was happening in the foster home. There was domestic violence regularly between the foster mother and the foster father.
Yeah. But that's okay.
Right.
But see, that's what gets me. That's okay. That's okay.
Allegedly, the foster father abused both of the kids regularly, physically abused and emotionally abused by, yelling at them. They would go sometimes without meals as punishment.
Right.
Look, we don't know. We know, but we don't want to recognize what the foster care system is and has become. Nobody has an answer.
Wait, I do. The reason they're putting the children in foster homes because they need to get paid. They are not going to get incentives if they don't take children.
Okay, Georgia, but we know that. What's the alternative?
How do you get rid of a social worker? Social workers are, you told us about a case you held years ago when the social worker lied under oath and she wasn't fired.
She was promoted. She was promoted.
So how in the name of God do we get rid of them? So we're vote for social workers now? What is it?
She's a supervisor in a county right now in California.
There you go. Supervisor. There you go. Supervisor.
She admitted under oath that she did lie.
Yeah.
You think she's the only one?
She's not the only one, but how do you stop the workers? Okay, so we vote. Right? We vote judge corrupt judges out.
You change the law. You give parents the right to have a jury trial. Okay? You give parents the rights specifically of what they can do with their own children. You make it harder for social workers to take kids away. Look, all of this is we just change laws. It's simple. But getting it done is hard because you got to vote in politicians who are going to take up your agenda and change CPS laws.
Well, one law was changed, Mr. Davis, for the relative placement law. Okay? One law.
Georgia, let me ask you something.
Yeah.
How long did it take Black folks to be able to get the right to vote?
Years and years.
100 years? 200 years? Okay, 150 years? You see how hard it is to change a system that's in place? You can talk about it, you can yell about it as much as you want, but unless you're going to be about it, nothing you can do.
Okay. We do need to change the laws when it comes to parenting. We do. But there's so many people out there who are addressing the concern. There's so many people who are taking a stand and rallying and made their voices be heard.
Not enough. Not enough.
Okay, what else do we need to do, Mr. Davis?
If every person that had a CPS case got together, county by county, state by state, and voted together, they could change laws.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, that should be something we should pursue. Have you ever had a CPS case? Because look, if you've never had a CPS case, it's going to be hard for you to believe this shit is happening. Let's face it. You're going to think child abuser, no, I'm not going to help you. But they don't know until they become part of the system. I got a call from a guy today who said, I never dreamed that I would be in this situation. and the social worker is already lying about me. I said, he goes, "You're not shocked?" And I said, "Sir, I hear this every day."
Okay. Well, the thing about it is, Mr. Davis, how do you know you're voting for the right judge? How do we know, really? Because there's a lot of judges who are family oriented and stuff crap like that, and they still screw people over, and they still give the last word to the social worker. So whatever the report says in the social worker report is what the judge believes. There is no checks and balances at all in CPS courts. Actually, there is none in family law as well. So my thing is this: how do you know you're voting for the right judge? Because there's judges currently right now in the LA County that owns group homes. They actually own 4 group homes between Orange County, Riverside, Lancaster, LA County, Orange County. They own it. And every case they have, you're mute. You're on mute.
I don't know that is true. So
I actually read that in a newsletter. So it is true. And I actually do not want to disclose the judge's name because I was told by you not to. So that is true. Okay.
Well,
so there are corruption within the court system.
And
how do you vote?
How long have you believed that our judicial system as it stands has allegations of corruption? How far back do you think that goes?
Hundreds of years.
Since the beginning.
Since the beginning.
Right.
So how do you vote for the right judge?
You have to interview them. Town hall meetings, debates. How do we interview judges now? How do we interview politicians? How do you know who to vote for president? How do you know? I assume you vote. You voted for Trump or Biden. How did you know which one to do? It's the same way with you come to electing judges. Same way to come to electing, the county board of supervisors. Same way to elect the state senators and state legislators. Same way to, we do to represent senators and congressmen, House of Representatives. But is it foolproof? No. Because every time you make a choice, you could end up making the wrong choice. I mean, that happens in real life. You were once married. You're not married now. You and your husband got divorced. Well, you made the wrong decision, right? That could be said for anything in any facet of life.
You can make the right decision. It depends on the situation.
Right. You just don't know. But you try to make the best choice possible through educating yourself.
I really believe, right, I understand that. I really believe that we all need to get together, like I mentioned in all my shows, and be heard. Our voices need to be heard. And a lot of people, most of you guys that call me, and it's a CPS investigation case, please do not assume that they're going to keep your child with you or your children with you. That is false. That's just false. That's just bad thinking. Bad thinking. That's not how. Yes.
I have a meeting that I have to go to, so I'm going to have to sign off.
Okay.
I'll be on the show tomorrow with you at 3:00, and we'll try to do this again. All right.
Okay. All right.
All right. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
So, Amy?
Yeah.
What do you think about all that?
He is so smart. It's crazy because that's what I'm learning about right now in social studies is the checks and balances and how these laws are vetoed and and the legislative, judicial, and the 3 branches of the government and what they're supposed to do, how they're supposed to enforce these laws, and it's not being enforced. And I hate even typing in these answers and, during schoolwork, homework, that yes, this is what's done, but I know in my heart it's not true.
I know.
And this makes me, it's one of the reasons I do not like social studies. I mean, one of them, but I'm not saying I hate it. But I mean, he's right.
It's the corruption, the amount of corruption. I know Mr. Davis is an attorney, and I listen to Nancy Schaefer a lot. God rest her soul, and I love that lady. I really, 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 really do. She spoke the truth because I did my own research, and it was the truth.
I read everything about her.
Yeah, it was every word she said was the truth, and that's why she lost her seat in the Senate. And that is why she did not stop exposing Bill Clinton and the Clintons, that is, and the CPS system. And that's why, I mean, even in her video, she even brought doctors who were threatened to lose their practice if they do not lie against a child or against a parent. And then it makes me wonder how many cases out there that it's regarding a referral from the hospital, for example. The doctor insists that the mother or the father abused the child. When if they were abusers, then why did they take them to the hospital? Why? Why are you putting the children in a strange home when you have somebody like Amy who took care of the child since birth? Like literally since birth. Her home was approved for placement, everything. But, however, the caseworker decided to put the child in a foster home. The child didn't know anything about the foster parents. She only knew Amy.
Yeah.
She only knew Amy. That's it. And the thing is, the report was not even against Amy. It was against the biological mom.
No, it was actually against the biological father. The little girl I raised, her half sister.
A biological father.
Accusation,
Okay,
yeah.
it was against the parent.
And against the it was okay. I'm sorry. It was against the father.
Yeah.
And then she also accused her mom's boyfriend, which is the father to her son.
Right.
And when they came over and took the kids, took her girls. Of course she's a wreck, I mean, it's the second time that her kids are being snatched from her and kidnapped. I'm sorry, yeah. And so she was a wreck and she was crying and she has a little boy. And they told her, if you don't shut up crying, I'm going to take your son too. If you shut up, we'll leave him here. And they did. So she shut up. So they wouldn't take her son too. She still has her son. If she's so terrible. And she allowed this to go on, and she knew about it, supposedly knew about it. Which I don't believe that. I just don't. Then why would you leave that little boy there with her if she allowed her boyfriend to do this to her daughters?
See, that's the thing. Again, like I said earlier, we are nothing but incubators to the state and sociopathic and narcissistic assholes out there. So it's kind of like, to me, all I care about is the kids. I really, honestly, and I told you this how many times, Amy? All I care about are the kids. That's all I care about. And somehow, the kids are the ones suffering. Yes, parents suffer. We all suffer without it.
I mean, they're suffering.
Yeah. But their little mind doesn't need to go through all this. Because see, they take children from a domestic violence, right? And the domestic violence could be far-fetched. Like we're talking about like verbal abuse, verbal communication, loud voices between a parent and the other parent. However, the police will put it in the report domestic violence, right? Domestic violence to me is more physical. It's physical abuse.
Yeah.
Domestic violence means you're physical. But when you're verbally disagreeing with someone and you're loud, that doesn't necessarily mean is domestic abuse.
Yeah.
However, the police reports it to CPS, which blows my mind.
Yeah.
Why would you report it to CPS unless there's some kind of motive behind it? Unless all the system work together, everybody works together, because that's probably their protocol. But who made that protocol? Who put that in effect? Because the police, yes, if there's a domestic violence that's physical, and the kids were present, then yes, I understand. But if the kids were not present, and even if it's physical, why would you steal the children if the mother is trying to defend herself, right, from the abuse? Why would you punish the mother too? And then you tell the mother that she should have known that he's abusive. What if the mother didn't know?
Yeah, exactly. She did.
What if the mom didn't know? I mean, when a woman marries a sociopath, they don't have a sign on their head saying, I'm a sociopath.
Nope.
Marry me. Or I'm a narcissist. Marry me. You don't know. Women don't know. Women use their hearts. We don't use our mind. We use our hearts. We fall in love. There we go. But, we don't know if this person is bad for us or not. We have no idea. So when something bad happens, but you feel me, right, Amy? When something bad happens, how do you know? Why do you punish the mother for making a choice to marry the father who she didn't know that will be abusive? Right? We don't know. But yet you put the children in a foster home of domestic violence, right? Fighting, abuse, all kinds of crap, drugs. But yet you take the kids from a family because of domestic violence. See, this is the corruption. I am trying to bring awareness. And people think until today that if you get if CPS calls you, you're off the hook. You're not off the hook. You're not. Amy, I know you love that little girl. You and your husband love her. And the thing about it is, you're doing everything possible in your power to have her placed with you again.
Yes, and that's what makes me so damn angry, is because when I watched that little girl come into this world, and I became a safety service provider for these fuckers,
Yeah, right.
And so that I could help the father and the mother, because the mother wasn't allowed to be around the father,
Right.
because they were toxic or something. And so they gave the father full custody of this baby girl. And I wanted to help, and because I fell in love with that baby. And, I knew the mother wasn't going to be able to do anything. And the father, I know he didn't. It's okay. Oh, God, help me.
I know, Amy. I know.
Narcissistic, controlling asshole. Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
Yes. But when a child makes an accusation like that against their father and their mother's boyfriend, and then also says their mom knows about it, I have proof of text messages. My mom text messaging me about it. Keep the family secret. If you don't, what'll happen again. And if you're handing paperwork and they say, here are attached are copies of these text messages.
What?
I have yet to see these text messages.
Wait. There was a text message. Okay. There was a text message from who saying this is a family secret?
The one that made the accusation, the oldest sister that made the accusation, told them that her mother knew this was going on, and that she was sending her text messages telling her that you better make sure you stay out of trouble and don't be telling your friends about our family secret, and they said that they're in the paperwork that they handed to us at the beginning of this, as attached are copies of these text messages. I have yet to see any copies of any text messages. And again, when you makes that accusation, you don't wait 3 or 4 days to get them checked out by a doctor.
Wow. I'm sorry, Amy. I am so sorry, baby girl.
My husband has just about lost his mind over this. He is so flipping heartbroken. I don't know if he'll ever be the same again. He won't be the same again unless we can get that little girl back. You come in my house and you snatch that baby girl away from me, from the only comfort zone she had ever. The only mom she ever known. And you stand over there with a clipboard and you say, go through the certification process. And maybe we can speed it up, and get it done quick so that we can get her back to you. And then, we went through, did every single thing they asked and passed. And the certifier called me and said, I just met with my supervisor. We're going to move forward with opening up your home. And it was like, a whopping 3 days later, she calls me, and I'm sorry, Amy, we're going to have to close your home temporarily and put an extension on your certification, which I found out I don't even think that's a thing. So it's not just sitting there open. And, and I said, why? Because I got so excited. And she said, because the caseworker is not willing to give her back to you at this time. And throughout this certification process, she kept telling me, I've got to get the sisters together and have a meeting with them and their lawyers to make sure that they are okay with being split up from their sisters. Right? But yet the oldest one who made the accusation can make the decision to say, hey, I don't want to be around my two sisters anymore. I don't want to be in this foster home. And so what's going on now? I think she's in her 4th or 5th foster home now. And she's about 16 or 17, and she is coming to the court proceedings now, sitting in the back and watching all of a sudden with her new boyfriend, by the way. And
that's sad. This is sad.
4 times, there's 4 times where our visit would get canceled, and they give us a video call with her. Okay, why is our visit being canceled? Because she's sick and she has to be at home under quarantine, right? So we get a video call. And as soon as we get on the video call, I tell her, I'm sorry, baby girl, that you're not feeling well. And I'm sorry that I didn't get to see you today. I'm not sick, Mom.
Oh, my God.
What'd you do today, baby? And she's like, I went to school. And then I caught them at Fred Meyer's shopping. And
okay, do you see that, Amy? Isn't that what I said in the show last week? Do you remember when I said that, was it the week? I can't remember which show, but I do say that they lie to the children and say that the reason your mom didn't show up today is because she didn't see you. And then they go to the mom and say the child is sick because the child doesn't want to see you or whatever the case may be. And then when Amy asked the child, when Amy addressed to the child that she's sorry she didn't see her because she's not feeling good, she said, Mommy, there's nothing wrong with me. I was in school today. Yeah. So you see, the manipulation and the division starts with a lie. Remember that. A lie, a spread of a lie is destroying somebody's character. A spread of a lie. And that's what CPS does. That's what other people do against other people. Spread lies.
Yep.
That's all they do. Because what? They have to get their way. Or because they don't get their way. So they spread lies, right? Because they didn't get their way. So,
I put her in school. I got her in school. The father didn't want anything to do with getting her put into early intervention. I knew she was going to need that. And so I got her into early intervention. I took her to every one of her doctor's appointments for her shots. Anytime that baby needed to go to the doctor, I took her. It was me and my husband that took her. In the beginning, she stayed with us, 1 or 2 nights, and 1 or 2 nights quickly turned into 2 or 3, 2 or 3 quickly turned into 4, 4 quickly turned into 5, which I didn't care. I would have kept her 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I took care of that baby through my 2nd round of chemo. No problem. Was I sick? Yeah. But, my husband stepped up and helped, and he always has. And he was a good father to her. And it's just, it just blows my mind. They ask you to do all this, and then you go through it, and then, you're good enough to become a safety service provider when she was first born. You're good enough to go through the certification process. We're good enough to have our house, pass inspection.
That is so sad, Amy. Look, I am, I've known you, I think, as long as I've known Darren. Am I right? You and your husband? Yeah. But as long as I've known Darren and his wife. And, I love you, Amy. You know that.
Yes, I love you too.
I seriously, I would, if I was in my 20s again and I had a baby, I would trust the baby with you. That's how much I know you and your husband.
I have a neighbor upstairs that just moved in, very protective of her little girl. And she's, she doesn't trust anybody around her daughter. I've only known her for about a month or so.
Yeah.
She needed a break from her little girl, and I decided to offer her a little bit of mama time on Mother's Day and took her to the grocery store with me to go grocery shopping. Was that hard for me? Yes.
Yes, it is. I know it is,
It was
Amy.
very hard, but I did it because I care. And
You do. I know you do. I know in my heart that you do care. And that's why it God, I wish I was a zillionaire or a billionaire to help everyone be able to hire an attorney, be able to get the best of the best to fight for their children. I think the biggest way I can get revenge towards CPS is to actually ensure all the children are back with their parents.
exactly. You know, one piece of advice I can give to all you parents out there, and I've learned this from Georgette, because this is how I found Georgette, you know, by researching, you know, what to do when dealing with lying CPS workers. And your video popped up, and it happened to be live, and I commented on it, and, you know, you got right back to me. But one piece of advice, guys, parents, take notes of every single one of your visits. Yes. Everything that you take. What you do in that visit. Write down what you take. You take a cookie, you take milk, you take juice. What if you took a toy? I mean, what did you do? I mean, what was said? Everything.
Write down what the child was wearing, everything. Write down what you're wearing, everything.
Exactly.
And also, what I need to address this, and we don't have that much time left, Amy. But the last thing I want to mention to all of you guys, grandparents, stay the hell away from your kids. Stop calling CPS against your children because you don't like their spouse, or you don't like their girlfriend, or you don't like your daughter's boyfriend, or aunts and uncles. Don't do this. Or grandparents, stop doing this. You know, I get a lot of calls. Who made the CPS report? My mom, my mom, my mom. And I'm like, okay. So one lady had me speak to her mom. I said, hey, grandma, what happened? You know, why did you make a report against your daughter? She said, because I don't like her boyfriend. And the reason why she doesn't like her boyfriend, you're not going to believe this.
No, I probably would, but go ahead.
Because he's too short.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. Short men don't please her.
Yeah.
She said she made a mistake. She said, I regret it. I this and this and that. And I get it. We all, people make mistakes. But the kind of mistake you don't want to make is calling CPS against your child because you're against her boyfriend or you're against his girlfriend. People need to stop doing this crap. Because what are you calling CPS for? It's like you're calling the devil, literally, to go pick up your grandchild. And you think you're going to have placement of your grandchild? You're mistaken. Oftentimes, grandparents call against their children and they think they're going to get their grandchild placed with them, and it backfires on them.
And if you guys can keep from it, having to accept any help from the state whatsoever, do avoid that as much as possible. I mean, like food stamps, okay? Don't even do that, because once you do that, bam, you're an easy target because you're poor and you can't take care of your kids. And dang, I bet they got a freaking line of children and parents that they are just, they're coming after you. But I tell you what, you smack your kids around a little bit and you teach them to cuss and treat them like shit, they'll come take them, but they'll get them right back within 2 months. Witnessed it. I've witnessed it. And it's sick. It's sad. And even if they are yelling at their kids and treating them like shit and teach them to cuss, yeah, come take them. But go help them parents. Give them what they need to learn to be parents if they truly love their kids and want them and they want to take care of them. Teach them what's right. Stop, paying all these damn foster monsters, I call them. And
I know, Amy. I know it's hard, but I want you guys to understand, please, don't do things out of anger, and don't report, to your kids because you're against their spouse or significant other or whatever the case may be, because all you're doing is hurting your grandchildren. And if you think again that you're going to get placement of your grandchild, it will backfire on you, and you will never get placement of your grandchild.
Yeah.
So, and people, you need to understand that throwing out lies to infect people's character only shows what kind of person you are. And you're definitely not a person that anyone can trust.
Rise above it and help
child. Exactly, especially with a child. Because there is so much corruption out there. Honestly, I I used to believe everybody is innocent, but there are a few people who are really not innocent in all this.
Yeah.
And I hate to say it, but we learn the hard way sometimes in life, because I tend to trust everybody. And that's sometimes it just also backfires on the person that opens up her heart to people, which is really, really sad. But we need to be very aware and mindful that we have to be careful who we talk to about your cases. And I recommend, if you have an open CPS case, do not just trust anybody to speak with.
Yeah.
Anyone, not on Facebook, not don't just talk to people because they say they have credentials and they're life coach or they're child advocate or all that stuff. You don't know who they are. And just because they're friends of a friend on Facebook, it doesn't mean anything. Even the word friend has an end at the end of it. If you take out the FRI, right, it's end.
Yes.
So be careful who you open up to. Be careful who you think you trust.
You can't trust
You
anybody.
can't trust anybody. And honestly, all these people on Facebook trying to friend other people, to talk crap about other people or talk crap about somebody's case or all that stuff, you need to stay away from this bullshit. You need to stay away from it.
I stay off Facebook.
Honestly, Amy knows what I'm talking about. You need to stay away from people like that. You really do. Because again, you do not know who you're opening up to. Amy,
Keep your enemies close.
yeah, I'm gonna have you again on my show tomorrow, I think, right? I think
Yeah, I'll be here. I'll come on there, yeah.
Well, I don't know. Didn't Grace tell you you're on the show tomorrow? Which one is it? Was it the 1 o'clock or?
Hang on, let me look.
I think it was the 1 o'clock.
And that's actually a really good time if it is. Hang on. She didn't say. So just I'll message her and find out here in a minute. But like I said, guys, please just write everything down. Research the laws. Don't get in a situation like I'm in, and you can't afford a lawyer. And then you don't find stuff out until it's too late. I can't believe this. The mother to the half sisters. The caseworker came up to her a couple of weeks ago at the DHS office and with a clipboard and paper in hand and tried to get her to sign her rights to her girls over right there while she was having brought her son there to visit her sisters for his weekly visit with his sisters. And her mom, by the way, she's not even at his party, but the kids are saying that she knows about it, which is bullshit. I know better. And, again, oh God, I know there's just so much more to say, but
I know, baby. I know, Amy. I will talk to you later on tonight, but right now I'm gonna have to call it an end because we will talk about it later on, baby girl. Okay? And I think you are with me tomorrow. I just need to ask Grace. All right.
I'm so sorry, Tabitha. I know. We all know Cassandra.
I know, Tabitha. I know.
Pray, guys. Pray.
Yeah.
Keep notes. Write everything down. And we'll get some more. And I will.
Grace told me you're on the 7 p.m. Fight CPS, Amy. 7 p.m. Relatives Fight CPS. You're going to be with me on the show tomorrow. Okay?
Okay.
Wait, no, it's not 7 p.m. I changed the time.
No, did you? That's right, because you're doing more.
No. It's 4 p.m. 4 p.m. Not 7. Remember? Yeah, it's 4 p.m.
Okay.
All right, baby girl. All right, I'll talk to you later, Amy, and I'll see you tomorrow.
Okay, I love you. You're awesome. Thank you for having me. And I'm sorry, guys.
Love you too, baby. I'll see you tomorrow.
Bye.